Shorey, the Bombers generated 30 scoring shots and kept pace with GWS for most of the game. What was it that they were doing well?
Yeah, nearly 60 inside 50s. I think it was an excellent performance. We'll talk a little bit later about why the win for GWS, but certainly an excellent performance. And what I liked about it was people say, oh, they attacked more. They came through the corridor more. They were more direct. Well, they certainly were. But as we've spoken about before, this was built on really strong defence, really good tackling. So for mine, it was the second half against North Melbourne. Well, people enjoyed that. But for basically a four-quarter performance of balanced football between attack and defence, I thought it was our best performance for the year. It looked like a good side playing football. And I think that's where we've been a little bit frustrated with the tempo football, the short kicking. This was an opportunity to attack down the middle at Etihad Stadium. They played the ground very well, and it was complemented by a very, very multi-dimensional forward line. Like, I haven't been the biggest rap of all time about playing the two ruckmen, but in this particular case, it worked. It provided an excellent foil. They got 4 goals out of the 2 big blokes. When you think about it, Lance Franklin only kicked 5 on Davis, and our 2 big blokes got 4. So it was a really nice balanced forward line. It was a different type of role for Fantasia. We need a forward crummer. There's different types of crummers. There's the Boomer Harvey crummer that starts up the ground and pushes down to a crumb. Really interesting the way they used him out of the goal square. He technically played full forward. So it was a really good balance. And then you had the big blokes. You had Joe Danaher on the move. Brown is always a constant threat because of his mobility. Well, I just thought the entries this time were really complemented by the different dimensions that our forward line brought.
What about up the other end of the ground in defence? Obviously, GWS has got a fairly potent forward line, but the defence seemed to stand up pretty well.
Yeah, it's interesting. You do everything right. Control Patton, control Cameron. That's a great tick to our back line. Hartley coming back was a big bonus. And then a first game gets you with 3, albeit one of them was a very disappointing free kick, but I'm not going to harp on that. And of course, Toby Green's a quality player. And to end up with 4 goals, basically cancelled out Fantasia's at the other end. But as I said, if you look through the team individually also, I think everyone contributed. I think Jackson Merritt played a far more consistent game. He was active, he was emotionally involved in the game. So right across the board, I think we got our best spread of contributions from the 22 players.
It was only in the last quarter that GWS broke the Bombers. What do you think was the difference in the end?
Fitness, depth of run, and we have to accept that. They're very young, very potent running side. I just think we ran out of legs in the last 15 minutes. Having said that, and fatigue brings about errors. And as you can see, the most errors we made throughout the day were in the last 20 minutes, where you get a little bit tired and you start taking the easier option, the fatigue option, and we started to turn the ball over midfield, fast break, long kick into Toby Green over the top, and you saw how they got their goals. Essendon were ready to go in, pushing up in their zone and in their press, but a poor turnover or a bad decision would result in quick transfer. Probably got 3 of their goals that way. And of course the other year we had to take our opportunities. There's probably about 4 opportunities there where players steady with the ball, just in or just outside 50, had to nail the goal to keep us in the game. So to me it was the last 15 minutes where skill errors and fatigue took over. And you got to remember, this side can really, really run, and there were no issues about their legs at the end of the game because GWS hadn't worked that hard, hadn't wanted to work that hard.
Obviously, it was a tough couple of weeks leading into the game against the Giants. What will a performance like this do for the confidence within the group for the remainder of the season?
Well, they get an opportunity to have a break. It's compulsory you get a 4-day break, so they'll all go away from the club and come back refreshed. There'll certainly be disappointment this morning because it was a winnable game and they played well enough to win. The VFL had a fantastic game, so with numerous players putting their hand up. So they come to this point in the season, I think, although in the immediate, certainly disappointed, but I think with a refreshed squad and a number of options, I'm really optimistic, providing they continue in the same vein as they played, that they'll finish off the season very, very well, because they do have depth, they do have options, and as I said, apart from that 15 minutes, they do have form. They played, what people have got to, Essendon people, I sort of get a little bit cranky because they say, the boys are having a crack, the boys are having a crack. Sometimes you've got to frank that with performance and take the win and nail the win. And sometimes it becomes a little bit of an excuse, or they tried hard. To me, that's a non-negotiable. But here's an opportunity to play really good football in the back half of the year and to confirm the improvement that we think's there and to get some wins playing some really good football. Because that style of play would stand up to anyone. Essendon would be in the game against any side with that balance of ball movement, direct football, and of course, I thought our tackling pressure was superb. So hopefully we get to see more of that, and I'm confident, given the fact that they're going to get a break, they're going to come back refreshed, and they've got depth emerging in the VFL.
Your article this week, Shorey, what are you taking a look at?
Well, we've got the break, so it's time to reminisce, and I've been around this place since I was 17, and I've spoken to a lot of people and met a lot of fantastic people. I've been very privileged to meet the people I have, the likes of Reynolds and Hutchison. And I've sort of had a go at, we've got our champions of Essendon, and everyone likes to rank them. So I had a few talks to a few people, and of course I was privileged to play through the 70s and 80s with two absolute champions in Tim Watson and Simon Madden. So given all that, I've tried to have a look at the rankings. The modern era of the modern generation would automatically go Hurdy. But I played 10 years of football with Tim Watson and Simon Madden, and our younger generation, we're moving into grandfather vintage, our boys, but they're wonderful players. So it's interesting how I see them. And of course, I touch at the end of the article on the best player I saw at influencing a game in the shortest period of time. I wonder if you can guess who that is.
We look forward to reading about it. Shorey, thanks a lot for your time, mate.
Thanks, Simon.